if you had asked me after this episode that I'd be rooting for, yet again, Jiyoung and Gyeore in game, I would say you're crazy. Hey, what's up you guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Bree with an E, and for today's video, we are of course back with another review for episode 14 of Heart Signal Season 4. We are literally one episode, mind you, out from the finale. I can't even begin to imagine what this final episode is gonna look like. I mean, there's just so many possibles and what ifs that we have to continue to just keep watching until the very end, because there's so many twists and turns throughout this entire series that it's impossible to predict the final couples. I mean, I have like an inkling or a hunch for maybe one, but honestly, it's too close to call. But that being said, I started reviewing Heart Signal Season 4 of the Korean version about 2 months ago on my channel, so it's been like a full circle moment for me as this series is coming to an end. I've really enjoyed talking about Heart Signal on my channel every week, well, almost every week. So I'm so happy to have seen the growth in my channel, of course, from this series. So I just want to take the time and say thank you for all of those of you who continue to tune in weekly for each review and interact in the comments with me. You don't go unnoticed, so thank you so much. But that being said, let's get into discussing episode 14. All right, so in episode 14, I feel like, I don't think I mentioned this, but I feel like we saw a lot of feelings kind of getting a little bit more solidified. There are a couple couples that may be in the works, from Jimin and Hushin possibly being in game to Gyeo-re and Jiyoung being possibly in game. This episode was a lot. I feel like it introduced a lot of more possibilities, and that was exciting because the way the season has been looking so far, it seemed for a hot minute that we were only going to be getting potentially one couple out of this. It's exciting to see possibly 2 or even 3 couples come out of this, which is apparently the most the show has ever seen, which is crazy. I feel like they should start adding more contestants. Maybe that would help with making more couples in the end. First, to debrief in this episode, we had Jiyoung and Gyeong's kind of their date. Okay, so in this episode, Jiyoung was still kind of reeling over his feelings for Jiyoung, and he was kind of feeling hurt a little bit from when she basically rejected him at the breakfast table. And so he was kind of treading lightly with her. And in this episode, he just was wanting to find time to spend more time with her. It's been no secret that Jiyoung, this entire process, has had a different experience than the others. Because of his work, he's had to be on call and in the hospital for at least like 9 days during filming. So he's missed a lot. With that being said, though, it's of course understandable that he feels a little bit behind, a little bit rushed in making connections with Jiyoung. And so because of that, I feel like he wasn't given a fair shot or a fair chance to really connect with her. And I feel like, I don't know, why did they cast Jiyoung if he could not be in the house as much as the others? Like, if his work was that demanding, why was he exactly casted? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. But I feel like he was in a sense robbed of his experience because of his demanding work schedule. Because he hasn't had much time, of course they haven't been able to connect as deep as Jiyoung and maybe Gyeo-re or Mingyu or Hushin have been able to connect. So this is like a sinking ship and he should just let it die. But he's continuing to pursue it, which is like totally fine. Do him, you know, and he has that right. I just feel like it's a little bit of waste in a sense. But also in this episode, Jimin and Hushin seemingly began to get closer. They spent the day in together and were just being super flirty and just really comfortable with one another. That's when we got that scene where Yisu and Jimin were kind of eavesdropping on Mingyu and Hushin talking about Jimin and Jiyoung, which is the 2 girls Hushin is kind of weighing between. Although I feel like Hushin really likes Jiyoung more than Jimin, but I think after their date where he expressed to her he didn't really feel that she was attracted to him or that she showed much interest in him, because she kind of held her cards close to her chest, especially after the whole Jiwon situation, and it kind of, as we know, it was like a bruise to her ego. So she kept her cards close to her heart this time and wasn't really expressive towards the guy she liked this time. So after he expressed that to her, that he didn't have any idea that she liked him at all, she started to show that more in this episode. She started to become a little bit more flirtatious and just really lay the moves on him, you know? Just really lay it out there, her feelings through her actions and her being flirty. So I feel like this episode, he saw maybe Jimin in another light, which was, I think, interesting because we all know he's been like head over heels for Jiyoung this entire time. And it feels like that door is maybe potentially closing, even though there are so many feelings left there. I feel like those newfound feelings can potentially have an impact on him, and we'll see him reflect on both of his connections with Jiyoung, with Jimin, and kind of weigh each other out and see who does he feel most comfortable with, who does he feel most attracted to, who does he feel most himself with and confident in with his connection with. So we'll just have to see. Only time will tell. But I feel like the biggest shock of the episode had to have been Jiyoung and Gyeore-re's date. They planned to meet up at at his place of business to make coffee, to really just hang out and have a chill, fun time. It was a really, I always say this, but it was a really cute date. It was just like a big shock for me because I felt like ever since a couple episodes ago, Jiyoung kind of had written off Gyeore, especially with her intensifying feelings for Mingyu and then her starting to connect with Hushin for the first time. It felt like Gyeore was like literally nowhere on her radar. Ever since they had that falling out or that misunderstanding that led to Jiyoung kind of feeling frustrated and upset with Gyeore and then him having to apologize. After that, it feels like they kind of went their separate ways, but it seems like they're finding their way back to each other, which is, it's a surprise, honestly. I remember in the very beginning of this series, they were the two that connected first. They had sent their heart signal texts to each other. I feel like they were the only couple in the first episode that did that, where each of their heart signal texts were sent to each other. So to see it come kind of full circle now after all this time, after, you know, Jiyoung developing these very intensifying feelings for Mingyu and hitting it off with Hu-shin, to see it have like a full circle moment now, they just always seem to come back to each other, which I find nice. So their date was just really, really cute. I was pleasantly surprised at how well they were able to connect even after that huge misunderstanding they had. The misunderstanding actually kind of brought them closer in a sense. But I'm excited. I feel like there is so much potential there for them. The way Jiyoung looks at Gyeore and the way Gyeore looks at Jiyoung is just, I feel like it's better than what Mingyu and Jiyoung have, definitely. Ultimately, I think I'm rooting for either Jiyoung and Hushin endgame or Jiyoung and Gyeore endgame, even though that leaves my girl Jumi single because she is going Gyeore strong till the end. I hope it all works out, honestly. I'll be happy to see, honestly, all of them coupled up, of course, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But I'm mostly just, I'm happy to see them happy with whoever, honestly. So that being said, we'll have to see in the final episode exactly where Jiyoung's heart goes, and also Gyeore's heart. I don't think he's exactly decided as well, because he still has that last conversation left with Jumi, and likewise Jiyoung has that last conversation left with Mingyu. So a lot of things can change from these conversations alone, so we'll just have to see. I just think there's something about the way Gyeo-re expresses himself. His love language is definitely like acts of service. I think he does that well with him making, Jiyoung banana pudding, and she loves coffee, so him having a job surrounded by coffee, of course he's gonna make her coffee. I don't know, I just really like Jiyoung and Gyeore together. But lastly, in this episode, Yisu and Mingyu had their final outing before decision day, we'll call it. And honestly, I don't have much to say about their date. They went grocery shopping or something. They went to get snacks or whatever. They had a comfortable, calm, chill date. Like, it wasn't anything special. But I mainly just want to say, I cannot envision at the end of this Mingyu choosing anyone other than Jisoo. I just feel like he's had the most time to grow with Jisoo. He's pursued her the hardest, and so with this last conversation he's gonna have with Jiyoung, I just don't see it pivoting in any way towards Jiyoung. I feel like a lot of people are thinking this isn't a closure talk, like Jiyoung, like Mingyu potentially still has lingering feelings for Jiyoung, which may and will very well be the case, but I don't think those feelings are strong enough to overtake or overcome what Mingyu and Jisoo have built together so far. At this point, it would be a little baffling to me if Mingyu chose Jiyoung, not because they don't have a connection there, but because it hasn't had enough time to grow matched up against Jisoo and his connection. It also would just feel like not right. I don't think it would feel right because Mingyu has pushed Jiyoung away this entire time, and I feel like it would even be a disservice of Jiyoung to herself to choose Mingyu in the end, with all of these other men like Jiwon, Hushin, and Gyeore who have continually showed up for her and have been there for her, like 100%, have not pushed her away. It would just feel like a slap in the face to herself and to those other men who have done a better job with showing her how they feel. So I just hope Jiyoung makes the right decision for her and her heart, but also takes in consideration what she deserves. And I'm not saying Mingyu is a bad person at all. I feel like I've gotten a lot of people in my comment section trying to like defend Mingyu as like I'm like attacking him or in a way like putting him down. I just think he's made a lot of questionable decisions in the house, and I think we can all agree on that. But I don't at all think he's a bad person. I just think, he could have made better choices and have not played this kind of hot and cold game with Jiyoung. And that's all I've expressed this entire time. He's not a bad person, but ultimately I feel like Jiyoung does deserve better than what he's shown her and what he's given her. So I hope after this final conversation they have, honestly, that they get the closure that they need and are able to both move on, and hopefully we get a Gyeore Jiyoung endgame, a Jiyoung Hushin endgame, and a Mingyu Jisoo endgame, because I just feel like at the end of the day that makes the most sense. But with that being said, guys, that completes today's discussion of episode 14. Let me know your thoughts on this episode. Who are you most excited about in this episode? Are you excited about Jimin and Hushin? Are you excited about potentially Gyeore and Jiyoung? Are you still pulling for Jiyoung and Hushin? Are you still pulling for Mingyu and Jiyoung? Just let me know all down below. Also, let me know your predictions for this final episode. Who do you think are going to be the final couples in the end? I've kind of already given my final predictions. I feel like it's going to be Jiyoung and potentially Gyeore or Hushin, or Hushin and Jimin, and then Mingyu and Jimin. Let me know what your final predictions for the couples are. But yeah, guys, let's look forward to the final episode. I'm so excited. I'm also kind of sad that the series is coming to an end. I thank you all so much for watching to the very end. If you enjoyed this video, of course, give it a big thumbs up, as it helps me so much. Also, make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss another upload, especially this series finale we have coming up. You definitely don't want to miss it. But that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.